Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on radio on Sunday, August 2nd, 2015. This is episode 1208. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by NatureBox. NatureBox ships tasty, guilt-free snacks right to your door with over 100 flavors to choose from, like Sriracha Cashew Crunch. Oh man, you'll never get bored of snacking again. Try NatureBox at naturebox.com/twit. That's naturebox.com/twit. And by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you all the ingredients to cook fresh, delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 2 meals free by going to blueapron.com/twit. That's blueapron.com/twit. And by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple product is worth at gazelle.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet, home theater, digital photography, smart watches, smartphones, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number, 888-827-5536. That's the number, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Outside of those areas, you can use Skype to reach us. Did you install Windows 10? It's the first weekend of the Windows 10 era. You know, let me ask you this. How important is that? Time was, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, when a new version of Windows came out, it was a big deal. Everything, changed. Windows 95, big deal. That was a big jump. XP, that was a big jump. Vista, not so much. But Windows 7, yeah. We've been kind of suffering a little in the Windows 8 era, but now, skipping 9, Microsoft's gone straight to Windows 10, and it came out on Wednesday. And I have to say, I feel like it's not as big a deal as it once was. Windows isn't, it's still the dominant operating system, 1.5 billion users worldwide. It's not like it's not important. It just doesn't feel as important when the computer, most of us use is a smartphone most often. There's a lot of competition from the tablet side with iPads and, even on the desktop, Macintosh. It just doesn't seem as important. And really what seems to be the real situation is that because of the cloud, because of the internet and storing your data in the internet and all of that, it doesn't really seem to matter what operating system you're using. How important is that? Plus, computers have reached definitely a maturity. They're not, despite the fact that Intel still comes out with a new processor every, 8 to 10 months, and more memory is available, bigger hard drives, all of that stuff. It doesn't seem like, the computer you used 5 years ago pretty much seems just as good as the computer you use today. Right? Am I wrong on that? So the operating system for your computer is just, it's not, people, I think we're rapidly moving to the point where it's like an appliance. What's the operating system in your microwave? I don't know, and I don't care. Or your car. Nevertheless, Windows 10 is here, and people are installing it. The thing that's making it interesting is this time is that Microsoft's giving it away to anybody who uses Windows 7 or 8. Are you accepting the invitation? My advice, if you want it, is to wait a little bit. It's very mature. It's very stable. Partly because Microsoft had a very long test period in public. Millions of people have been using Windows 10 for months. So it should be pretty stable. I feel it was a little bit rushed out. It's not quite baked fully. It's kind of like one of those take and bake pizzas. You might want to put it in the oven for a little bit more, or you might find it mushy inside. The new browser, which is designed to replace Internet Explorer, Edge, doesn't have any extensions at all. So, which isn't a bad thing, but it did mean that Microsoft has to, even though they didn't want to, continue to ship Windows 10 with Internet Explorer for at least a while. There's a few other things like that. Mostly what you're going to see is a lot of, and sad to say, link bait articles on the internet about dangerous things, bad precedents that Windows 10 sets. I even talked about it a little bit yesterday. I want to apologize because I was suckered a little bit by the link bait articles. And last night did more research, and I'm here to tell you there's nothing to worry about with Windows 10. Some people have been worried about this Wi-Fi sense issue. Even somebody who I hugely respect, Brian Krebs, who's a security guru, used to be at the Washington Post, now has his own blog, Krebs on Security, crying foul on Wi-Fi sense. That's something that comes with Windows 10 that shares your password with friends using social networks and Hotmail and Outlook. But only if you specifically tell it to. You have to turn it, not only turn it on, and it is turned on in the express settings. So if you just go, yeah, I'm going to take whatever you say, Microsoft, you'll get it turned on. But then you have to do it on a network-by-network basis. So it's not turned on until you say so on any network. And even then, I think the mechanism it uses is secure. So I'm not at all worried about Wi-Fi sense. And I think if you hear any FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt spread about it, that you can safely brush it off. More significant, and I saw an article in the Boy Genius Report, and I even read from it yesterday, people looking at the, and this happens every time a major new piece of software comes out, the end-user license agreement, and saying, oh, no, Microsoft's reaching into your computer and stealing your stuff. And, you know, I foolishly quoted from that article yesterday. Last night, I read the EULA, 12,000 words. You know, when you first install Windows 10, it says, read this. Do you agree? Page after page. And nobody, I can't imagine anybody reads it. We all just go, yeah, whatever. Just get on with it. And unfortunately, that means that there's options for websites desiring to get traffic, I guess, or maybe just being that are a little more cautious about privacy. I don't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt to publish articles saying, oh my gosh, look what Windows 10 does. Well, I read the EULA, and it's exactly as a sane mind would expect. Microsoft says, if you store data on the Internet cloud with us using, OneDrive, then we will have access to your data, and if law enforcement asks us, we will be compelled to give it over. Well, yes, that's true. That's true of everyone. I misread it. Thanks to some really out-of-context quoting on the Internet, I misread it. And you have to read the whole thing to understand what it means. At no point in the EULA does Microsoft say or imply that it has access to anything on your hard drive. It doesn't have access to your private information on your hard drive. So the idea that it could hand that over to anybody is silly. If you read it carefully, and I'm sure lawyers should, because it's, there's some legalese there, parse it as best they can. And perhaps it's, maybe the worst you could say is it's sloppily written in such a way it could be misinterpreted, but I think it's very clear. So don't be fooled by, what I have, let's be honest, it's link bait. It's a great way to drive a lot of traffic to blogs. That Microsoft is somehow, installing a version of Windows on your computer that is spying on you. You cannot say that from the license agreement. I can't say they're not spying because I can't prove the negative. No one can. But I think it's safe to say that if Microsoft wants to sell this product anywhere outside the U.S., it better not be. And, here's the good news. If Microsoft does phone the home office with your information, you can see it. People with tools like Wireshark can look at it. It's not called Wireshark anymore, but you know what I mean. Can look at it and watch the traffic and tell you what Microsoft's sending back to the home office. Nothing to fear here. If you feel like installing Windows 10, go ahead. My advice, as always, with a big upgrade like that is, wait a little while to hear if there are any showstoppers. Certainly, if Microsoft doesn't tell you, and they're very, very good about this in the upgrade process, that your system is 100% completely compatible, then don't do it. Lots of people saying, my printer or my video card, older hardware, doesn't have drivers yet. Wait. If that's the case, wait. But I have to say, I after playing with it now on a number of machines for several months, I feel like it's a good thing. It's a big improvement over Windows 8, even of Windows 8.1. They've got the start menu is back, baby. I like how they've designed it. I think it's good looking. It looks rock solid. So don't feel like there's anything to worry about with Windows 10. I want to correct the misimpression I might have given on our last show. Having read the EULA now, I feel confident. It's no different than anything else. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, the Boy Genius article is crap, unfortunately. They quote out of context, and if you read the actual EULA, you see, oh, this applies to OneDrive. Well, of course. Yeah, you were right, Mike B. You were right. And actually, I read it before. Actually, I didn't read it last night. I read it right after the show before this new screensavers. Sometimes I rely too much on tech blogs, and I have to do it less and less these days because, unfortunately, they really seem to have. Even the New York Times, the standards on the New York Times suck. So I don't know why I should give Boy Genius Report more credence. That's sort of true too. But Amiyashi, I think Brian Krebs got it wrong as well, and I think you have to judge for yourself. I have to do a better job probably of sifting through this stuff. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. Well, I think humans make more human errors when they are rushed to publish first and when they are incented to get clicks. So the way the system is set up makes it even worse. I don't know how much Microsoft paid the Rolling Stones for the rights to that, but in 1995, 20 years ago, this summer, in fact, that was the theme song for Windows 95, Start Me Up. The appearance of the Start menu, which Microsoft took away in Windows 8 at their peril. Fans erupted in revolt, and now the Start menu is back, baby, better than ever. I like the new Start menu. It's very customizable. You can grow it and shrink it. It's nice. Kim Schaffer is here. She's answering the calls, and I think you probably have one or two about Windows 10.
Oh, it's going to be all about Windows 10 today, I have a feeling.
All right.
Jimmy from Maryland is a gamer, and he wants to know if he should go from 8.1 to 10.
Great question. Hi, Jimmy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Windows 10. I haven't really thought of switching yet, but I don't know.
Okay, so, of course, the most important reason to switch to Windows 10 is DirectX 12. So they are, DirectX, as you, I'm sure, as a gamer know, is the engine for gaming that gives them direct access to the video hardware. It makes the games work better and faster. Microsoft came out with DirectX years ago, which probably gives you a clue as to why it's DirectX 12 in Windows 10. And both AMD and NVIDIA, who make those video cards that you use for your video games, say they will support DirectX 12 at launch. Now, it is brand new, so it may not. What game do you play? What do you like?
I've been Battlefield 4 and Grand Theft Auto.
All right, those are pretty high-powered games. I think the thing to do is wait and see, look at your video card and wait and see when DirectX 12 and Windows 10 support comes out.
Okay.
And in fact, some people are saying, some of the more advanced features of DirectX 12 won't be supported with the current crop of hardware. You'll have to get even a new video card to take advantage of it. But I do think eventually Microsoft knows that games are important to Windows users. That's one of the big drivers in technology and hardware. And they paid lip service to it by saying, yes, and we're going to update DirectX specifically for Windows 10. So I think it's going to be a big deal. And it's going to be something that you're going to want to pay attention to. You don't have to rush. The games you have right now, probably the video card you have right now, doesn't, I would guess, even support DirectX 12. So the real question is going to be, when will it? You get the free upgrade for a year. You have a year to decide. Some people have asked, well, is Microsoft just going to say after a year, okay, on July 29th, 2016. Okay, pay up. I think so. I think it's free. If you upgrade in the next year, it'll be free forever. But if you wait till August 1st, 2016, it'll be $100. So don't wait too long, okay? But you can safely wait for now. And, you know, I think that it's probably the case that you should wait a few weeks no matter what, just to see if anybody goes, oh, my goodness, look what happened. If everything goes well, and watch your game forums and what people are saying, if everything goes well, as soon as you see drivers for your hardware for DirectX 12, and that should be soon if it hasn't happened already, then it's safe to do that. And you will get a benefit. You don't have to get new hardware to get a benefit from DirectX 12. But if you want the full capabilities of DirectX 12, then you want to get a new video card that's built for DirectX 12. Lots of articles. I put an article from Extreme Tech, which is a good source for this information. They do a lot of hardware reviews on what DirectX 12 is, what AMD and NVIDIA are doing to support it, what hardware capabilities, you know, will be added, things like that. So, yes, if you're a gamer, I think you're going to want to. But I don't think anybody should right away. It's no harm to wait. I can't wait. If you're you're a person like me, you're impatient, go ahead and do it right away. It's not going to hurt anything. I haven't heard of any issues yet. You know, Grand Theft Auto will play, I believe. Ron in North Carolina, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ron.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Pretty good. Hey, just two comments. One on Windows 10.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, it's the edge needs to be baked a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's pretty fresh.
Yeah, it's pretty fresh. Yeah, some of the websites, you know, looking at the videos and such, you maximize and the screen goes black. So yeah. Hopefully they can roll out a module update instead of waiting for the.
Oh yeah, you know, you're going to see this is one thing that's really changed. Microsoft's going to have a lot of updates. There may be updates daily. This is not something you'll be waiting a month between updates, I don't think.
Right. And the second comment is, you know, with Google and AT&T, and I've got Time Warner here in Charlotte, the speed increases. Have you heard of anybody that's got the Time Warner Max?
I don't, but, you know, this is a good place to ask. I'm sure somebody who does will either call in, join us in the chat room, or comment on the website. Yeah, you're thinking about getting it?
Yeah, I mean, they had a report here in the Charlotte paper saying they're starting to roll it out here, and they say 6 times automatic increase, and you don't have to do anything. It's interesting,
yeah, and you won't even know. You won't even have to pay for it, right? It just happens.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Comcast is doing the same thing. You know what this is all about? Google.
Yeah, Time Warner and AT&T are running scared.
They're running scared. Google's putting gigabit internet in town after town. At first, we thought, oh, they're just going to do it in Kansas City, and it'll just be to say, look, you should do this. And no, but they're growing and growing and growing. And I think a lot of the big internet service providers are going, ay, ay, ay. But what's telling to me is they had this capability. Right. It wasn't until there was competitive pressure that they said, oh, we could do that. I remember a Time Warner executive saying, oh, you know, none of our customers want gigabit Ethernet. They literally said that. They've changed their tune, haven't they?
They have. I mean, I was looking at mine. I got the turbo version, which is giving me roughly 20 to 24 down right now. And if it goes 6 times, that's 144.
You know.
Roughly, so.
Yeah. I think 100. I have 100 megabits business service at home, and I feel like that's probably as fast. I shouldn't say this. This is guaranteed in 10 years to be not true, but it's as fast right now as you need to go. You're probably faster than most services. What do you really want? It partly depends on how many people are sharing it, but what do you really want? You want to be able to do, you know, easy high-def streaming of video, 4K streaming, even 25 megabits is fast enough for 4K, maybe 50. Mm-hmm. So, you know, unless there are 10 people in your house all trying to watch Netflix at the same time, I think that's going to be plenty for some time.
Right. But I was just, it's new here, so I was just trying to check to see if anybody else.
All right. Anybody has Time Warner's new high-speed service or Comcast, let us know. I can promise you one thing, it won't be as fast as they say it is.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Right? Has it ever been?
No.
No. So, you know, watch the weasel words, up to 4 times faster, things like that. But I think really if you can get to 100 megabits, and by the way, I think that's the number that the FCC has also come up with for broadband. If you can get to 100 megabits down, 25 up, boy, that's everything's going to work better. Skype's going to be fine. It's rare that you need anything faster than that. And certainly you're faster than any website you're visiting. So get it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, Cablevision is an outlier. And if you can get a DOCSIS, if they're offering DOCSIS 3 modems, get them. You want to go DOCSIS 3. In fact, a lot of times they don't, and they have a DOCSIS 3 connection, but you're using an older modem. It's always a good idea to ask your cable company, am I DOCSIS 3 and can I get faster? Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. We're talking about Windows 10, of course, because it came out on Wednesday, but there's lots of other stuff. Anything you want to talk about is absolutely on the table as long as there's a chip in it. Has to do with technology. I'm game. Larry's just down the road a bit, Petaluma, California. Hi, Larry.
Hey, Leo. How are you today?
I'm well. What can I do for you?
Well, I wanted to thank you. First of all, about 6 months ago, I moved to Petaluma, and you had given me a recommendation to extend my Ethernet and using the Action Tech Mocha cable Ethernet converter. And it works perfect. It really works well.
Mocha is kind of an interesting, and I think a good idea. It uses the cable connection, the coax that's, most houses have cable in many rooms. You put these little devices on it, and it turns it into a hardwired network interface, which is always better than wireless if you can do it.
Which is the case, and it's working well. I've got my TV and my home entertainment system working on it, and it's perfect. More urgently, though, I've got a computer problem here. I have a Dell Inspiron desktop, which is about 4 years old. It's got an i5, probably second generation chip in it, and it has been doing weird stuff like the DVD Blu-ray player would show up intermittently in the devices. Sometimes it would work. If it would show up, it would work. If not, it wouldn't work, obviously. Yeah. And other things were getting weird, so I took it into a local shop here that does iPhone repairs, and there was a geek there who convinced me he could diagnose it for a very small amount of money.
Good.
Which I probably should have known better. But anyway.
Not necessarily, this is the problem. There's no way to, there's no gold star in their head saying, yes, this guy really can do it.
Anyway, he sounded impressive. Anyway, I took it in, and I came back at about an hour and a half. He got to it right away, and he said the power supply blew as soon as he plugged it in. And so I thought I was a little perplexed about that. And he said he hooked up an external power supply, something he had there, and said everything else was working. So he thought that was the problem. And then he also said my processor, my i5 chip, did not have a fan on it, which I don't know how that would have disappeared, and maybe Dell never put it on there. So now I'm faced with the question of whether it's worth repairing that. I actually just ordered myself the power supply, hoping I could geek it in. I'm a sort of a aging quasi-geek, you might call me.
So, this is a laptop, right? You said it's an Inspiron?
No, it's a desktop.
Oh, it's a desktop. Okay. Yeah, power supplies are easy. In fact, they often fail. They're cheap, relatively cheap parts, under $100, and you can always put in a better power supply from a third party like PC Power and Cooling. And it's just a few screws. Don't open the power supply up. That's the only real risk. There's capacitors in there that can zap you.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to take it out and replace it. But I was actually considering getting a new computer or upgrading that to Windows 10. So if this doesn't work, I'm obviously going to get a new computer. And if I do, should I just go straight ahead with a Windows 10 machine? Because Dell is now offering them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Most of my qualms about Windows 10 at this point are compatibility issues upgrading older hardware. This is all new to the Windows world. In the past, as you know, nobody ever bought or rarely, only the geeks bought new copies of Windows or upgraded Windows. Usually what you would do is buy a new machine. And you'd use it until you drove it into the ground. That's why there's so many XP users out there still. Their machine hasn't died yet. And it's one of the reasons we're getting free versions of the upgrade, because Microsoft understands that. But if you get a new machine, you should. I can't think of any reason not to get it with the latest version of the of Windows on it.
Okay, well, and if I can resurrect this old guy, I'd probably just keep it and upgrade it in a couple of weeks after
It could very well have been a flaky power supply. That's a very common failure, and an easy thing to fix.
And that could cause the DVD to just not show up periodically.
Sure. If you know, so let's as an example, let's say the power supply is no longer delivering rated power. Well, the processor will use up a lot of the power, and then it can't. Some of the peripherals may not have enough power to work. So that's not yeah, absolutely. You get all sorts of flaky behavior when your power supply is getting flaky.
Okay, well maybe it just happened to be the timing. Maybe this guy's right on. Anyway, he did offer me that if I got a new machine, he would transfer my data over to the new one. He said he could clone it, but I don't think that's possible with if I go with Windows 10 because I have Windows 10 on the old machine.
You can. There's a Windows has a transfer wizard that will transfer your data over. It's easy enough to do. You probably don't have to pay the guy to do it, especially since you obviously know what you're doing. On the other hand, if the guy, one never knows where a good geek is going to hide. And I think an iPhone repair place would actually probably contain a few geeks. And if the guy really knows what he's doing and he's not, blowing. The real problem is not so much that he doesn't know what he's doing, but he might be a blowhard. He might be one of those guys. I know everything about this. No. You see what I'm going to do here? And you don't want a Cliff Clavin working on your computer. You want somebody who knows what he's doing, really. It sounds like he might.
He might.
Yeah, I mean.
I don't know enough to know better because I haven't. This is my only experience with him yet.
Yeah.
But he did actually to transfer the data for the amount I already paid for the diagnosis. So
that's nice. It's it's completely possible. And I'll tell you, if you find a guy and, slowly build up your confidence in him and he's good, that's worth its weight in gold. You hear people all the time. Yesterday somebody called. Can you recommend somebody? It's hard. There is no way to know, if the guy behind the counter at the Geek Squad knows what he's doing or not. You just can't tell. Yeah. And they all will talk a good game. But I've heard such horror stories. So, yeah, slowly trust this guy.
Well, they have really good ratings on Yelp, and they open up and replace screens on iPhones and Android.
Yeah, I understand though. That's not a technical job. That's more like that's a dentist. That's somebody who's doing little tiny screws and replacing little. That has nothing to do with software. You want somebody who knows Windows and knows PCs and. Yeah, that's a little bit of a different thing, but But I would guess somebody who's working in an iPhone repair place probably is a geek.
Well, they do, and they do laptop repairs also.
All right.
Obviously, so okay.
Move judiciously, but as he proves himself, maybe you've got something solid gold there. That'd be great. Nothing he said so far doesn't sound true.
Okay. If I find out, if I do discover that, I will let you know.
Well, you should keep it to yourself. Since you're in Petaluma, whereabouts is it?
It's in the old mill.
Oh yeah, I know those guys.
Yeah,
I've used them before. They are smart. They're nice guys. I like them.
Okay.
Yeah, they moved down from Santa Rosa. They're good.
Well, they've got a location in Santa Rosa and Winter Park.
Yeah, I haven't met the locals yet, but. I've been very impressed with them. In fact, when I dunked my iPhone in water, I brought it to them and watched them bit by bit replace every component in the iPhone and finally say, you know what, you fried the whole darn thing. I was impressed. So, yeah, I know those guys in the old mill, actually. Yeah, I think they're good.
Okay. So that's a good referral.
Yeah.
So I'll follow
and tell them Leo's keeping an eye on them. Hey, thanks, Larry. I appreciate it. We don't usually get this local. It is, after all, a global program, but every once in a while. Oh, yeah, that guy down the street, they're great. Yelp ratings are important, I guess. Did you see Yelp's I'm worried about Yelp. Yelp's kind of struggling here. The stock market is punishing them badly. I feel like Yelp could be on their last legs, which is a shame because those recommendations are in many cases the only way you could figure out if somebody knows what they're doing in this area particularly. I've seen articles now in a number of places saying Yelp is struggling financially. I hope that's not true. Yelp says, no, we're doing great. 8888 Ask Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls coming up. Hey, our show today brought to you by Snacks. I want more snacks. You want more snacks. Who doesn't want snacks? You want a nature box. These are healthy snacks, nutritionist designed. Never any artificial flavors or artificial colors or artificial sweeteners. No trans fats, 0 grams trans fats. No high fructose corn syrup. Just delicious snacks. Hundreds of delicious snacks. All the flavors of the rainbow in all the different styles. Sweet, savory, spicy. They taste great, and they're really, really great. And instead of going, thank you, another Nature Box delivery. These come to your door. You can subscribe. Box comes every month. Such great flavors like whole wheat chocolate chip cookie bites, strawberry lemonade fruit stars. Oh, here's watermelon mini stars. And what's in here? Apple puree, apple juice, natural flavor, a little pectin to make it chewy, carrot juice concentrate for color, and citrus fiber. That's it. I don't even see sugar in here. Salt and pepper pistachios. Now, when you go, you can kind of pick. You want sweet, savory. They have snacks for gluten conscious. They have vegan snacks. Mini Belgian waffles. I think I'm having breakfast. Here's the deal. And they're, by the way, nice. They're nice size packages, but they're resealable, so you don't have to eat the whole thing. Much better than going back to the candy bar machine in the back of the office or the back of the house. Here's what I would do. Do you have a candy bar machine in your house? Maybe you need Nature Snacks. Go to naturebox.com/twit. We're going to get you a trial. You just pay $2 for shipping of some of their most popular snacks. But while you're there, take a look at the 100 healthy and crave-worthy options delivered right to your door. naturebox.com/twit. Start your trial today. naturebox.com/twit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Robert in Long Beach is next. Hi, Robert.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
Welcome to the show. I'm great.
Great. I just pulled over in my car, so I'm
good.
100%
Safe
attention
driving.
on you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'll tell you my situation. I've got a website. It's a commercial website, and we battle out pop culture T-shirts once a week. And my problem is the site is not responsive. And I keep hearing from people that I need a responsive site. And I don't know the first thing about getting a responsive site.
I can talk a lot about this subject. So when you say responsive, there's two ways you can interpret that. One is it's slow. I think what you mean is mobile responsive, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's a bad choice of, it's not your fault. This is what the industry calls it, but it's a bad choice of words because it's confusing. What they mean is that a site looks great at a variety of screen sizes. So you can easily tell if a site will do that even on a desktop by just taking the browser window and resizing it. And if when you resize it, the site resizes and still looks good, it's responsive. And if it doesn't, then it's not responsive. And, then that means you need to do something about it. The old way of doing this, and by the way, the reason is soon more than half of your customers will come in on smartphones. So you really have to pay attention to this. If your customers are complaining now, it's because they're looking at your site on a smartphone and they can't use it. We had this problem. I just spent $250,000 redoing.
Wow.
Don't panic. Redoing our site so that now when you go to the podcast site, twit.tv, no matter what size screen, it will make sense. It'll work. But that is an expensive process because it's if you want. The old way of doing this is to have two templates. So you have one for a normal size screen, and then when you see that, and the browser can tell, or the website can tell this, when somebody comes in on a mobile browser, you go, oh, let me give you the mobile version. And you see this a lot. This is the old-fashioned way of doing it. Mm-hmm. So I have one of those sites as well, my old blog, which is WordPress. If you go to leoville.com on a desktop, it looks one way. You go to on a phone, it's a completely different site. And designers have decided in the last year or so that that's not the way to do it, that the site should look the same. It should just kind of reflow and reorganize. Maybe images should get smaller, text should get smaller, stuff like that. So where is your site? Who did your site in the first place?
Well, it's on a site called Shopify.
Oh, all right. So you're using a Shopify template.
It is, but it's I think a custom template, so that it is not responsive right now. And I've been thinking about moving over to a WordPress site, but the problem is I just don't have that ability. That toolkit, my toolbox.
Well, the problem with WordPress is you're not. I presume you're doing e-commerce if you're using Shopify.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so WordPress doesn't by default do e-commerce. You'd have to add e-commerce capability. Shopify really is all about e-commerce, and they make it easy for you to do. There are a lot of companies like this that make it easy to do by giving you a template. They have responsive templates. So if you go to Shopify, and I would think this would be the easiest thing to do. I know you have a custom template, but did Shopify customize?
That's where I have my problems with. I think I have to hire a designer outside of Shopify.
Somebody did it for you? Third party did it?
That's correct. Initially, somebody did it for us, and then that person's long gone. And
I'd contact Shopify because they don't want to lose you as a customer.
Okay.
So, and this is something that I guarantee you they're dealing with all of their clients. And that's why they have mobile responsive templates. And what you say to them is, I have a custom template. I need it to be mobile responsive. I would like to stay at Shopify, but I may have to move. If you move, by the way, you're still going to have to hire a designer. There's no magic bullet on this one. You could go, one of our sponsors, Squarespace, only has mobile responsive templates. They have e-commerce on it too, by the way. So if you just went to Squarespace, you could, this would be, again, the disclaimer, I want to be very clear. They're a sponsor. But this isn't an ad for them. So that if you went there, they have a 2-week free thing. You could actually see what it would take to get a similar site going on Squarespace. Look at what their e-commerce solution does. It may be adequate to what you want. They're definitely less expensive than Shopify.
Okay, great.
And then, if you do that, you can still go to Shopify and say, hey, I'm thinking of moving to Squarespace. What are you going to do for me?
I'm a small player right now, but I appreciate that.
Well, they don't want to lose. They don't want to lose their business, and mobile responsive is a big issue for them right now. And it's hard because the shopping cart has to be mobile responsive too, right? Everything does. It has to be something that's easy to do on a smartphone. We bit the bullet and spent $250,000. You don't have to, by the way, but we spent that kind of money because more than half of our visitors were coming in on mobile, and so at that point I said, oh, we got a problem because it didn't work on mobile. And they were struggling through the site, as I gather your clients are too.
I think you're right. And my clients, it's geared toward anywhere from 18 to probably late 30s.
Oh, well, if you have younger users there, you're going to have 80% mobile if you don't already.
I know, and they're geeky T-shirts, and
if you're not,
you like one.
What's the company?
It's called ShirtBattle.com.
I love that. Shirt Battle. That sounds like a great name. Do you have actual battles?
Yeah, we have battles from designers from all over the world.
So they compete.
They compete. Usually we have 2 shirts at once, and then we have a winner at the end of the week, and then we put up new ones. But this time we have something dealing with the lion that just recently got killed.
Oh, that's great. A Cecil battle.
Yeah, raising money for that.
Oh, what a man, shirtbattle.com. So did you go directly to Shopify, or did you go to a third party who set you up with Shopify?
We went directly to Shopify.
Okay. So you're a direct customer. You should call them. You should say, and I'm serious, say, I need mobile responsive. I looked at Squarespace. They're going to do what I want. What can you do for me?
Okay.
You may be small right now, but you just got a major plug on a national radio show. I think it's only a matter of time before your business goes through the roof.
Wow. Well, there's a shirt for you somewhere, Leo.
No. See, that would make it plugola. I am not allowed in any way to be compensated by... Well, no, they're really strict rules. That's why I have to say Squarespace is a sponsor before I even... No, don't apologize. Thank you. Weekly battles between the world's greatest T-shirt designers. I love this. Lions are not trophies. Cecil, killing for sport is cowardly. I'm looking at the different battles here. And Warrior's Soul. Oh, these are all cool. And $5 of each sale goes to the African Wildlife Foundation. Good for you.
Wow.
Geeks love T-shirts, don't they?
They do.
It's the dress code for the under 30 crowd.
You're absolutely right.
Isn't it? Hey,
Yeah.
you nailed it. Your client, your customers are telling you, and you are right. You have to get mobile responsive, and you need to do that this week.
Okay, Leo. Well, listen, thank you for everything you do. I listen to you all the time, and I really do appreciate your help.
My pleasure,
Thank you
Robert.
so much.
Thanks for raising money for the African Wildlife Foundation. This is cool. So let me just do this little mobile test. You know, you go there in a browser, and then you shrink the browser to see, well, what happens when I shrink it. So far, you know, you could shrink it a certain amount, and it looks good. Looks good. Oh, yeah. See, what happens is you get small enough, they go off the edge to the right. And that's what a lot of sites do. They can only go to a certain size before stuff goes off the screen. And that's not going to be very attractive to somebody coming in on mobile, is it? They need to... but I think I'm looking at what you're doing. This would be an easy thing to fix. And you know, if Shopify won't fix it, I think Squarespace.com. You could do it all yourself. They do have a nice commerce engine. Sponsor, but this is not an ad. I'm often conflicted when people ask about stuff, and I want to say this is a great company. I do have to be forthright and say, you know, they do buy ads. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Doesn't mean they're not a great company, right? And when the shoe fits, sell it. The website, techguylabs.com. I don't remember if we made Tech. I think we made Tech Guy Labs. Well, I hope we did. If not, I got another web design project. I'm pretty sure we made this mobile responsive. Tech Guy Labs. Yes, it's mobile responsive. Thank goodness. Oh, what a relief. It's a great place to go to get links to all the information we talk about. And add your comments too. And it's free, no sign up. TechGuyLabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smartwatches and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. I would love to hear from you. If you're outside that area, of course, you can Skype it in. It's toll-free, shouldn't cost you anything. And we are taking questions about any subject, although a lot of Windows 10 questions at this point because, well, it's brand new. Just came out on Wednesday. A lot of people asking whether they should upgrade and so forth. If your computer offers you the upgrade, Microsoft's giving this away for the next. Let me answer a few basic questions. Microsoft's giving away a Windows 10 upgrade for anybody using an activated official copy of Windows 7, 8, or 8.1. If you're using that operating system, Microsoft has been, without your knowledge, secretly examining your system to see if it's compatible in every respect with Windows 10. You want to make sure all the hardware and everything works. If it is, Microsoft will offer you an upgrade. Now, this actually happens all automatically. You'll get a pop-up that says, hey, you're eligible. And you can then say yes. They'll download it and install it. You won't be at the risk of losing any data in theory. It just installs it right on top of Windows 8 or Windows 7, and suddenly you're running Windows 10. Of course, my recommendation always is to back up your data before you say install. It'll download, then says, now do you want to install? Now's the time during that download or even after that, before you install, to back up your data somewhere off the computer. You want to be able to roll back. It would be a great idea to make a Windows, if you have Windows 8, make a Windows 8 recovery media, whether it's a DVD or better yet, a USB key that has a recovery system on it. That way, should something go wrong or you don't like Windows 10, there is a 30-day rollback feature in Windows 10, by the way. You can say within the first month of using it, all right, I don't like this. Let's go back. And it will take you right back to your previous operating system. That does wear out after 30 days, and I have heard some people say, hey, it didn't work for me. So it's always a good idea to make recovery media and a backup before you do any install. But if you get, and I would say do not rush. So if you don't get that offer from Microsoft, hold on. Because I believe that Microsoft is not offering it to people who might have some potential, have some issues. So listen to that. Yeah, you can, and people will tell you, and there'll be lots of articles on Monday that, oh, you could go download the install media and do it yourself. My recommendation is not. I would wait and let Microsoft, tell you when it's appropriate. When they do, and it'll be free for the next year through July 29th, 2016. Now, it will continue to be free if you do it. If you don't accept that offer on July 30th, 2016, Windows 10 will suddenly cost $100 or more, whatever Microsoft's charging. Right now, they're charging $110 for the home version. Businesses pay more. But if you're not a business, you don't have a volume license, if you have just an installed version of Windows, they will, at some point in the next few months, offer it to you, probably sooner than that. And you can take that offer. Now, some people are saying, well, Leo, don't you always say clean install when you upgrade an operating system? I do. And while people are having no trouble upgrading, it certainly is a good idea, especially if you're coming from Windows 7, to do a clean install. That means from scratch install of Windows 10 with a blank hard drive. Doing this right now is a little tricky. Here's the process my friend Paul Thurrott, who's a Windows expert, recommends, and I agree with, is to do the in-place upgrade. That's fine. But then in recovery options, if you want to do a clean install, you'll have the option to do that. So make a backup of your data, of course, and then go to the recovery options. And you can restore your PC to pure Windows 10, wiping all the data, the settings, going back to a pure Windows 10 install. That's the way to get a clean install. That way, and I would even wait till Windows 10 is activated before you do that. That way you will continue to have an activated system. It's this anti-piracy stuff that can get in the way a little bit. You want to have an activated system. So assuming that your system is activated, it's A-OK. Go to Windows 10, see that it activated, and then if you want a clean install, you can reset your PC, and that'll get you back to a pure Windows 10. What else do you need to know? Free is free. There's some people who say, oh, they're going to charge you after a year. Nope. Microsoft's been very clear. This is free. You have an official Windows 10 machine, just as you would if you'd bought it. You will, however, have to do updates, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Updates are turned on. You can't turn them off. The only thing you can do is put them off. There is a button in the settings to defer updates, and you can. I'm not sure for how long, but you can for a week or two. Wait. A lot of people like to do that and want to make sure that the updates don't break anything. I understand that. On the other hand, Microsoft's position is these updates are a red flag to bad guys that there's something in the operating system they can take advantage of. We want you to install these as soon as you can, and we absolutely insist that you install these if you take our free version of Windows 10. So just be aware that you're going to have that. Cortana, set her up, the speech assistant. You have to click in the Ask Me Anything box and say yes, opt in, but that's pretty cool. It's kind of like Google Now. It gives you information about your calendar, stuff you're interested in. You'll customize it to tell Cortana what you like, what you want to do. And you can talk to her. This is the first desktop operating system that you can query. You could say, hey, Cortana, and ask questions. You tell Cortana what you want to be called. I like to be called boss. So Cortana say, yes, boss. I like that. I feel powerful. That's part of the new Windows 10 that you'll get automatically. And you'll be happy. I think everybody's going to be happy to see that the Start menu is back, but it's kind of a hybrid Start menu. You'll see tiles on the right and a traditional Start menu on the left. One thing that's very nice Microsoft's done is they've made it possible for you to size the Start menu as you wish and even turn off the tiles if you want a traditional old-school Start menu. I like the tiles because the tiles give you additional information, but if you don't, probably worth going through the settings and turning that off, and then you'll have a traditional Start menu. Charms bar is gone. In its place is a new notification center on the right-hand side of the screen that I think is great. It's fully customizable. You have buttons at the bottom that you can make quick settings for things you use a lot. I think Microsoft has really knocked it out of the park. It's familiar enough to anybody who's used Windows since Windows 95. The Start menu is back. The system taskbar, all of the things that you're used to are there, but it's modern. I think they've upgraded some of the most important security aspects of it. Automatic updates is not a bad thing. That's going to make us all a lot happier because the truth is if your system is compromised, it's not just bad for you, it's bad for the internet. So keeping systems clean and safe is good. Do check that box if you go to the updates that says, Don't just update Windows. Update all my Microsoft products the same way. That's a great idea. You should turn on automatic updates for anything that goes online. So I'm happy with Windows 10. I think it's a worthwhile upgrade. My advice, wait until Microsoft offers it to you. If they don't in the next month or so, you can go ahead and download the media. It is a free upgrade for anybody with Windows 7 or 8. And I think a worthwhile upgrade for people still running XP, older versions of Windows. Although, if you really have an old machine, as always, the best advice is buy a new machine that comes with Windows 10. Your questions about Windows 10? Oh, another killer feature. You're right. BattleCam in our chat room says, tell everybody about the virtual screens. This is something that's been available on Macintosh for some time, Linux for some time. The ability to have workspaces. There's a little button that lets you set up multiple screens with different contents, and that's really a nice feature. So you can have one screen that has all your homework in it, another screen that has your daily reads for your news, your internet stuff, a third screen with your social media, your tweet deck or whatever, and it's easy to flip from one to the other. I like that. I really think that's a nice feature too. They will release an update in the fall, Threshold 2, that will be a significant update. You'll get that automatically as well. But I think Windows 10 is ready to consume if your machine is ready to use it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, lunch is here, but this is a good time to talk about dinner. Blue Apron style. You're going to have Blue Apron for dinner tonight? Do you know about Blue Apron? Oh, we love it. Blue Apron is a service that sends you everything you need to cook fresh, delicious meals. They give you the simple step-by-step instructions. They give you the ingredients perfectly proportioned, just right, to make those meals at less than $10 a meal and 500 to 700 calories. It is a great way to cook for date night, for cooking with friends. They even have a family plan so you can, with kid-friendly ingredients, so you can eat well and have fun with the kids preparing meals. Their menus change every week, so you'll never get the same meal twice. Cooking about half an hour. Shipping free, and it goes right to your door. It's always fresh. All the ingredients you need, so there's never any waste. And it's so cool. In fact, let's take a look. Let's see what's on the menu this week. So much great stuff. You can even have them mail you free recipes from Blue Apron. Spiced meatballs with garlic toasts and summer squash salad. They always do it seasonal, too. And by the way, they always pick ingredients, local, seasonal, fresh ingredients. Stir-fried ginger basil chicken with Tinkerbell peppers and coconut rice. The neat thing about this is once you do this, you know how to cook it. You've got the recipe card. It's easy to do it again. How many times you get home, you're starving, you don't have time to shop, you don't have the desire to shop, you just want a great meal. Blue Apron's a great solution. In fact, I always love when we get home and there's the Blue Apron box out front and I open it up. Seared salmon and panzanella with corn, shishito peppers and Thai basil. Summer ratatouille and parmesan polenta. Cool summer vegetable ramen, summer squash and fennel salad. And these family plans are great for kids. Chicken thighs and Wheelie's pasta. Who doesn't love that? Oh, my mouth is watering. I can't do anymore. Crispy catfish with Sicilian eggplant caponata. Summer corn and bell pepper pizza with taleggio cheese and fresh thyme. I can go on and on. Here's the deal. We've got 2 free meals for you. Go to blueapron.com/twit. See, you're getting hungry too. I started talking about this. He's got out the sport bar. My mouth is watering. Blueapron.com/twit. Get your first 2 meals free. And we thank Blue Apron so much for the support of the Tech Guy podcast. Blueapron.com/twit. I mentioned that OS 10 and Linux had it, and Windows was late to the game on the virtual desktops, but it's a good feature. I use it all the time on the Mac. Do I use a cover protection for my DSLR camera when I use a camera step? I do not. I do not. I bang it around. Yeah, so Daily Kos is wrong. That's link bait. Windows 10 comes with built-in spyware. If your work requires confidentiality, do not install. Wow, those are strong words. Friends of mine in government. Okay, that's because. Okay, this is that same dumb thing that is quoting this paragraph, which I quoted yesterday, out of context. So this is stuff that you put on the internet. This is stuff you put on the internet. So what Microsoft's saying is, we will comply with law on stuff you put on the internet. This is true of everybody. And this is right of them to disclose, and it is true of everybody. If you put something on the internet, whoever's holding it for you has to give it to the government if they ask. Period. Always been the case. So it's appropriate for Microsoft to tell you that. It's always been the case. This does not refer to your hard drive. And by quoting it out of context, the Boyd Genius Report, which originally did this and now Daily Kos, are misrepresenting it because this is out of context. And I admit, last episode I misread this because I didn't read the whole EULA. I just read this paragraph. But if you read the EULA, it clearly said this is all stuff you use on files you put on OneDrive, stuff you use on the internet. This is not your hard drive. So if you put it on the internet and you think you're private, you're not. You never have been. If you must encrypt before you put it on the internet to be private. So this is kind of a misquote. This I'd like to see the proof of that. That was in the beta. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, talking tech. Let me say one more thing about Windows 10. I'm sorry if I'm boring you. A lot of you don't use it and don't care, and I don't blame you. But I do want to nip in the bud. You're going to see this week a lot of news stories saying that Windows spies on you, and it's not true. That's not true. They're using, as proof of this, Microsoft's end-user license agreement, the agreement you agree to when you say, I agree. It says, read this 12,000-word agreement. And then if you agree, press agree to install Windows 10. Of course, nobody reads it. And every time I've seen this come up, they're quoting a part of this out of context. Let me really be clear. Apple, Google, Microsoft, any company doing business in the U.S. is required to share anything they know about you with law enforcement if law enforcement comes to them with a suitable warrant. That's just the law of the land. There's nothing you can do about that, nothing any of those companies can do about that. They can fight it, but they always lose. So, and often they do. Twitter fights it. A lot of the companies fight it, but they always lose because it's the law of the land. The question is, does Microsoft knows what's going on inside your computer? Anything you put on the internet, on OneDrive, on email, anything you put on the internet is subject to this from every company that does business in the U.S. That's just the way it is. If you want to protect your privacy and put stuff on the internet, you need to encrypt it before it goes to the internet, period. End of story. So Microsoft's not asserting the right to do something that everybody else isn't subject to. This is the law of the land. You might want to fight that, but it is the law of the land. I think this has always been the case. With an appropriate warrant, law enforcement can get this information. The question is, what does Microsoft know? And misquoting the end-user license agreement or quoting it out of context kind of implies that, and I fell for this yesterday, I confess. Talked about it on the show. I want to correct the misimpression I gave you and warn you about articles you're going to read in the future. There is the impression, when you read this out of context, Microsoft can also see what's on your hard drive. To anybody's knowledge, to my knowledge, they cannot. Some people are confusing the beta version of Windows 10, which did have telemetry in it. That's what you agreed to when you said, yes, I want to be a tester for Windows 10. I will allow, as part of that process, Microsoft to observe how I use it. And I think that's how it works in a beta test. You didn't have to agree to that. A number of sites are saying you should go through the settings one by one and not accept the express settings during the setup. I agree with that. You should know what kind of information you're sharing with Microsoft. Absolutely. But just understand, when you're putting stuff on the internet, It doesn't matter. Microsoft, Google, Yahoo, anybody has to share that with law enforcement given a suitable subpoena or warrant. There's just no choice. And this is not unusual or even new. So understand that. The internet is not private. Have I not said that? It is not private. If you want to be private on the internet, there's one and only one way to do that. Encrypt it using strong public key crypto before you put it out there. That requires, for instance, with Gmail, that your recipient knows how to unencrypt it, which kind of limits how much you can use it. But I use it. If you want to put something on OneDrive, Microsoft's cloud storage, or iCloud, or Dropbox, or any of these other services, encrypt it before you send it. Otherwise, you're giving it to the internet. That means you're putting it out in public. And by the way, if it's encrypted, they can still come to you with a subpoena or search warrant and say, hey, by the way, what's your password? There are rules about what you have to tell them. You do have a right against self-incrimination and all of that. So let's go back to the phone. Simon, Yorktown, Virginia. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Leo, thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
Like many others, have questions about Windows 10. Mine involves I made reservations on 2 laptops to get Windows 10. I looked at the status on my primary laptop on Friday, and it showed that the download was in progress.
Good.
So, well, maybe, hopefully. I let it go. My thought was, like you have been preaching, wait a while and see what's going on.
Yes.
And my intent was if I could get the download but not have the install right
And you
away.
will you will have that option. Before it installs, it'll ask you.
Well, let me tell you what happened.
Uh-oh.
And everything I'd always heard and read said the same thing.
Yeah.
I went to the next stop. You know, it gives you a prompt, and it said schedule when you want it to install. It gave me a 3-day window, which is up tonight at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether.
So it hasn't installed yet, but you agreed to have it installed tonight.
No, I didn't. I didn't agree to it. It gave me 3 choices, and I closed it out. So I don't know whether I'm in limbo or whether I'll find out at 11 o'clock tonight.
Well, you can't, or you can go into your scheduler and look and see if it's scheduled and disable that if you wish.
The scheduler, where would I find that?
Which version of Windows are you using?
I'm using 7.
Yeah. The Windows scheduler is built into Windows. I presume, now I may be mistaken here because I haven't looked at how they're doing this, that's how they're scheduling it. You probably can also go into your settings and look around and turn off that automatic install. Since they offered it to you, that means that they feel, and I think they're pretty good at this, that your system is ready for Windows 10. Are you feeling like I don't want to do it? Well,
I'm just cautious.
Yeah,
that's
reasonable.
Make sure that I'm afraid now if I don't install it now, or if I actually turn it down somehow, will I have that option again?
Yeah. In fact, you can do it manually. There is now a new folder on your computer,
right?
In the root directory, $Windows.BT. Ooh, that folder, it's there. It might be hidden, but it's there. And inside it is a setup.exe. So at any point, you can install Windows just by running that. You double-click it, and it'll run, and Windows 10 will begin. So I think the first thing to do is find the scheduler. I don't remember in Windows 7 where it is, but it shouldn't be too hard to find it. And see if there's an entry for 11 o'clock tonight. And if there is, delete it. Or disable it. Yeah, and then it won't happen automatically. You should also be able to look in the control panel under Windows Update. There's got to be a switch in there that says, don't do it automatically.
I'm sure they wouldn't cut me off for all time, but, I just don't know.
But what's nice is you have it. Now, remember, it's about 4 gigabytes. That's a big file, but you have it. And I would say in a week or two, if barring any, scary posts on the internet, if I don't come on next weekend and say, whatever you do, don't install it, I think it'll probably be safe to install it. It's such an improvement. I feel like if you like Windows 7, you will be very happy with Windows 10.
If I can push that question just a little further, if for some reason I don't find a way to stop it and it just goes ahead tonight and installs, which is fine. I know I have 30 days to roll it back.
Yeah.
And I have an up-to-the-date back up on carbonite all ready to go.
You're ready to go. Yeah, you can roll it back. If you have 30 days to say, that was a bad idea. Let's go back to Windows 7. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Chris Marquardt, photo guy, next.
Test 1, 2.
Hello.
Testing.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Good. I have no idea what's
Can you make suggestions for photographing the aurora borealis?
I'm actually planning to weave that in. Want to talk about light? If you go to tftf.com/First Villa Workshop, there's one group shot in there that will give you a light situation. I want to talk a bit about giving tips about light, about how to deal with like harsh sunlight and stuff.
Yeah.
We just finished this first workshop in the Viewfinder Villa today.
Eingeweiht.
Oh, if you have to switch to English and then...
No, it's in English.
Oh, it is in English, okay.
Yeah.
But
I
first
see
bilingual WordPress.
Die Villa ist eingeweiht.
The Villa is... How would you call that? It's broken in.
Eingeweiht. Yeah, see, there's so many good words in German that we have no... like Gemütlichkeit.
Eingeweiht means to... Einweihen means to bless in some way.
Oh, neat. Chris Marquardt, photo guy, is here. He's our digital photography guru. Does a wonderful podcast called Tips from the Top Floor. Did you used to be on a top floor somewhere?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I always used to have my studio somewhere on the top floor of a house. I came from like the first building I lived in where I started my podcast. I was under the roof in a small setting there, and then I moved to my studio, and that was under the roof as well. And now I have, this is on the ground floor, but I have a studio room upstairs on the top floor, so that counts, doesn't it?
We met as podcasters at the Podcast Expo.
Both
of us started in the earliest days of podcasting. You know, the big Podcast Hall of Fame Awards were on Friday in Fort Worth, and I was very honored.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, podcast movement is going on right now, one of the big podcast expos. I was very honored to be nominated to the first class of the Podcast Hall of Fame, along with Adam Curry and others. So thank you, Podcast Movement, for that. You should consider this guy. When did you start podcasting?
April 2005.
Okay, that's pretty early.
That's the first and a half wave. The first wave was in 2004.
September 2004 is the beginning. Yeah. So you were pretty early on. So
today,
you know, the word photography, it comes from the Greek writing with light.
Yes, it does.
Photography.
Light is everything. Yeah. Light is everything. And I held a workshop over the weekend, actually here in the Viewfinder Villa in Germany. We had a group of people here, and we were actually looking at light and how to deal with light and what kind of properties light has. Like, for example, light source can have a certain size or a certain color or a certain quality. And it's summer, it's hot, the sun is out, and we decided to do a group shot in the bright sunlight, which, you know, for portraits, that's not necessarily a good idea to go out and have the harsh sun in your eyes and deal with that. So I wanted to convey a few tips, and I have actually put some photos online. If you go to tftf.com/First Villa Workshop, one word, First Villa Workshop. There's a group shot on there that you can see that has a group of people in the bright sunlight, but it still does work as a photo. And the reason it does is, you know what happens when you put people in the sun, when you try to photograph people in the sun and the sun shines in their face, they squint. They won't look nice, right? Yeah. So what we decided here is to actually go kind of one step beyond that and turn them around with their back towards the sun. So
yeah, because I can see the shadow falling in front of them.
Yep, and what that does is it creates this beautiful hair light. You see how they are nicely separated from the background? On their shoulders, on their hair, they have a nice light, which gives them a good separation from which is, by the way, not the building in the background is not the villa. That's
cute, though. What is it? I like it. I want one of those.
It's the booze house, which the original owner of the house built because his wife didn't like him to.
So he'd go out there and drink.
To drink and play cards in the house. That's like 100 years ago.
That is a great house. It's a beautiful.
He built the booze house, which is right next to the villa, and it's a beautiful.
What do you use
just a
that
beautiful
for?
Spot.
Be a great darkroom or something.
Well, right now, it doesn't belong to us. It's just next to the house now. I think it's used for gardening tools and things. So
it looks like you've set up lights in this shot.
Which we did. We set up a few flashes there. So the thing is, if you turn people with their back against the sun, you will have a dark foreground. You will have dark faces. So what you can do is you can either have them stand in a spot that has like a bright ground in front of them that reflects light back onto their faces, or you as a photographer might have a bright wall behind you to reflect light, but that's not the case there. So what we did is we set some external flashes up to kind of fill in the front, the faces, and that worked actually pretty well. Now, not everyone will have that.
I've seen photographers use reflectors, which could you might have something you could use. Just something white would work.
Well, and in fact, with a group, you can just try to make sure that you have a white wall behind you or a building behind you that is bright, and that will reflect enough light, bounce light back onto people's faces. So turning them around is actually a very good idea. If you don't have that option, take them out of the sun, take them somewhere where there's shadow, and that's kind of a good way to deal with harsh sunlight, and you can still make it work. It will still produce nice pictures without people squinting. In this case, you can clearly see that.
Looks like you were having a fun workshop. That's great.
Oh, it was amazing.
Chris's workshops are online at Discover the Top Floor. 2 days. And what did you focus on?
Well, light. It was just all about light. It was about sunlight. It was about available light. It was about artificial light, like learning how to get the colors right, how to get the exposure right in all sorts of different situations, how to play with light, how to use light in a different way than usual.
I got a light question for you. One of our regulars, she's in the chat right now. Dr. Mom leaves tomorrow for Iceland, and she expects to see the Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis.
Oh, that'll be amazing. That'll be so amazing.
That's on my bucket list. I've never seen them. I'd love to. How does she photograph them? I know, there's tips for photographing the moon. It's not easy, but the Aurora Borealis seems like that would be easy to take a picture of. Maybe not.
So you have to imagine a faint green light moving slowly over the sky, sometimes faster, sometimes slower, sometimes darker, sometimes brighter. So what we did, first of all, I used a lens that is a pretty wide-angle lens, so I'm shooting with a 14-millimeter lens. So I try to get in the entire sky because it can be really big. Also, that lens that I use goes up to f2.8. So it's a relatively bright lens, lets a lot of light in. Next thing is you don't want to, well, it kind of depends, but shoot 10 to 15 to 20 seconds.
Okay.
That'll give you...
You can't do that handheld. You probably should put it on a
No, you need a tripod. You will get some I don't know, some smear kind of smeared lights in the sky, not very well defined, but defined enough to look good with 10 to 15 seconds and a high ISO to make this work. So that's what I would play with. ISO 1600 in my case worked quite well, and with a modern camera, it shouldn't be a problem.
Or could I put it on a tripod and do, like a minute or 2 minute exposure, just a long exposure?
The problem is if it moves too fast, then you'll only have a green sky. You won't see any definition. Yeah, they're moving, and sometimes they're moving relatively fast. So,
so you have to shoot at fast enough shutter speed so you stop them.
Not as short. I mean, 10 to 15 seconds. You will need as much. You need that kind of a time to get enough light in. That's
so turn up, and that's why you have to turn up the ISO.
Turn up the ISO. Also, a good tip is try to learn how to handle your camera without really looking, because you will be in the dark. And if you use a flashlight, then you will be blinding others, and you will have other photographers probably around you who will go,
"I'm taking
the light out." So learn to how to switch on the light on the display of your camera. Turn down the display of your camera, the brightness of the LCD in the back, because when it's too bright, it'll blind you at night. So find out a few of these things up front, and that will probably do. And then shoot lots of pictures while it's happening. Spend an hour or two outside and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot.
Or watch and remember, and then buy a postcard.
But with 15, 20-second exposures, you will always have these chunks of 20 seconds to watch, because you have nothing to do in the meantime.
Yeah. I am so excited for Dr. Mom. She's going to have a great time.
Oh, it's amazing.
Iceland is a photographer's paradise. You've been there several times.
Oh, the landscapes are just mind-blowing.
Yeah,
it's really amazing. The people are wonderful. The landscapes. Reykjavik is a beautiful city.
One of my favorite reasons to travel is just to take pictures. Chris Marquardt, discoverthetopfloor.com. When we come back, I'll fill you in on our sour assignment. Thank you, Chris. We'll see you next week. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Fun. Looks like a great bunch, too. Were they all from Germany, or were they from all over? Or for your villa? Oh, I'm sorry.
Here
I'm sorry, say again. I missed that.
Oh, they came from all over Germany. They traveled here.
Neat.
And from all the way from the south of Germany to the north. And we want to do more. We actually in September, we'll release our analog photography book, and we're planning on analog workshops here.
Oh,
in our own darkroom.
I'm telling you should buy that little house, the drinking shack. That is
cute,
so
isn't
cute.
it?
Yes.
Someone asked, "Is that the villa?" It's like, no, that's where we keep the participants at night.
That's the barracks. Cool.
No, it's
cool,
an amazing place here.
That's
it's really
awesome.
amazing.
That's
very
awesome.
beautiful.
All right, Chris, thank you.
All right, talk to you next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Hey, our show today is brought to you by a very apropos sponsor, Gazelle.com. New Motorola phones just announced. New OnePlus One just announced. Samsung's got its big event. In a couple of weeks, they're going to announce the Note 5 and the new Galaxy S6. Maybe you're thinking, I want to update, but I don't know yet exactly what I want to get. That's where Gazelle is so great, because you can go to Gazelle right now and get a quote for your existing phone or tablet. It's guaranteed for 30 days. So you have plenty of time to decide if you want to pull the trigger and do it. They pay the shipping on anything worth more than $1. In fact, while you're at it, get quotes on all the stuff in your drawer there, in your gadget drawer. Sell it all. Sell it all to Gazelle.com. You'll get enough money easily to buy that new phone. But again, you don't have to decide for 30 days. It's also a great place to buy. If you have an old phone that you've broken, or you want to replace. If you're looking for an iPhone or a Samsung phone or an iPad, Gazelle sells certified replacements. There are two categories: certified like new, basically unused, and certified good. They might show some gentle signs of wear, but you're going to save even more money. And in both cases, they're guaranteed. Gazelle puts them through a rigorous 30-point inspection to make sure that that phone is fully functional, and you've got a 30-day risk-free return. So this is a great way if you're replacing an old phone that got broken or you lost. Gazelle.com. To buy, to sell, Gazelle. They've paid out over $200 million now. I'm sorry, did I say $200 million? Yes, $200 million to over 1 million customers. I love them. I always sell our stuff at Gazelle, and I want you to try it. You don't have to sell right away. Just get a quote, because I can guarantee you one thing. Your old phone isn't gaining in value. If you want to buy a new one, go right now to Gazelle.com. Sell your gadgets the fast and easy way. And buy them, too, at Gazelle. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Talking high-tech, answering questions about Windows 10, new smartphones on their way, all of that stuff. Let's go right back. I started watching my show, and now I'm hearing it. Sorry about that. Let's go to James, West Virginia. Hi, James. Thanks for hanging on. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Mr. Laporte. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, well, I got one question about Windows 10. We signed up for it, and we got 3 computers inside the house that we're waiting, and we're not sure if it's not working right for the download.
What happened?
Well, we reserved, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Oh, yeah. So Microsoft is staging this. Not everybody got it on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So nothing to worry about then?
Nothing to worry about. It's a 4 gigabyte download. They have the last time I saw was more than 60 million people have downloaded it. But that's out of hundreds of millions, undoubtedly, who want it. I think 600 or 700 million users are eligible for it. That's such a large number. Nobody could serve 3 or 4 gigabytes to all of them at once. Nobody's got that much bandwidth, not even Microsoft. So I think it's going to be staged out a little bit. You should get it soon. If you don't, there is a way to download it from Microsoft. They have a download. And if you're eligible, you should be able to download it and install it. I haven't had 100% success with that. So I would wait a few more days before giving up on the invite. I'm not sure why I didn't. It was on a Dell, and it just wouldn't activate. And then also, by downloading it that way, I wasn't getting all of the device drivers I needed. So there were a number of devices, 6 or 7, that didn't work properly yet. Then what I did is I said, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't use this downloaded ISO. It's completely legitimate and legal. If you go to Microsoft.com, you can download it. And if you're eligible for the upgrade, in theory, you install it, and it will say, oh, yeah, you were eligible, and it'll activate. Mine never did. So I rolled back, and I let Microsoft push it to me. And that one worked great. Not only did it activate right away, but it had all the drivers I needed. So I think that in the best case scenario is you let Microsoft send it to you. It'll have everything you need if they do. When you download the ISO, I think you're getting some sort of generic version of Windows. And I obviously, on my Dell anyway, wanted a special one with, for instance, there were Dell. I think Dell must have had something to do with it because there were Dell applications in it, right? So that were missing from the ISO. So I think that's probably a good idea. Let your OEM push it to you. Ellie in Honolulu. Hi, Ellie. Haven't heard from you in ages. How's everything going?
Well, I haven't been well. That's why you haven't.
I'm sorry. I hope you're feeling better now.
I'm feeling better where I can speak with you.
Good.
But I'm not feeling better because Apple Music messed up my phone.
Oh.
All my personal music is gone.
Oh. So, you know, a very well-known Apple computer columnist, Jim Dalrymple of The Loop, wrote a column last week saying, Apple Music, I'm done with you, because it had deleted his music, 2,400
I saw
songs.
that.
Yeah. Well, after a phone call with Apple, a little later, he realized he had all of them. They never went anywhere. And the couple of hundred he's lost, he thinks, I talked to him, I think I might have deleted it by accident. So it's easy for this to seem to have happened, but the likelihood is you've got it all. Do you use iTunes Match?
Yes.
Okay, so does he, and that was where the problem lay, because now it's in the iCloud. Your music is on the iCloud drive. So Apple told him, no, Jim, everything's still there. You just don't have it set up right. He changed to he turned on the iCloud drive on his phone, and yeah, lo and behold, there's all his songs, and he can download them again.
Well, I have iCloud drive on anyway.
Okay. So what happened to you? You were these songs on the phone, or were they up in the cloud on iTunes?
They were in the
Match?
cloud.
Okay. And now when you open your music on your phone, you don't see the little cloud, puffy cloud with a download button?
No, and I only have like 2 songs that I previously listened to, and everything else is gone. And my partner has the same Apple ID, and he has all his music.
So you two share an Apple ID?
Yes.
Well, that's good news, because if he was able to get it, it means it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not gone from the cloud. It's just you're not seeing it.
Right.
And did you sign up for Apple Music, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is exactly what Jim Dalrymple had happen to him. So you read the article. Did you read his follow-up that explained what happened and how he fixed it? Because I think that's probably the same thing you're going to need to do.
No, I haven't seen the follow-up.
All right. So I'm going to go right now to loopinsight.com. That's his blog. That's where he writes. And let's go back in time to see. He writes about a lot of things: buckwheat pillows, weight loss.
Yeah, I see a lot of his stuff. It cracks me up.
Yeah, I love Jim. He's quite a character, and he's really, I think, a very smart guy. And when he said, I'm done with Apple Music, that was a big deal. A lot of Apple people listen to Jim, but I think it happened to him just like it can happen to anybody, just like it's happened to you, I think, Ellie, that Apple's done such a bad job of communicating how Apple Music ties in with iTunes Match and what you need to do to have it work. That if Jim's confused, no one. Yeah, that means, of course you're confused. So I'm going to see if I can find. Boy, I have to scroll back a long way. He publishes a lot of stuff.
I know. I know. I can't keep up with him either.
Can't keep up with him. I think his original post, which we'll put a link to in the show notes, has. Oh yeah, here it is. I got my music back. At least most of it is the post you want, and I'll put a link to that particular post. It's right now. It's on page 3. That's how much other stuff he's posted, and so he describes what happened. And how Apple was able to help him get it back. And I don't remember the exact steps myself. He does say, he's still done with Apple Music, their music service, streaming music service. But he's unusual because Jim is an avid music fan and has a lot of his own music that he's ripped on there. And that to him is more important than the many millions of streaming songs. Yeah. You're in Hawaii. If you have a lot of Hawaiian traditional music, for instance, that's not on iTunes, not for streaming on iTunes, then you're going to want to provide it through your library. And Ellie, I can't walk you through it because we're running out of time. But
right, I realize
I would suggest I'll put a link in the show notes to Jim's column. Let me read back through it and see if I can summarize it for you when we come back. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. It's great to hear you're feeling better.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
You still doing the website?
No, because I haven't been feeling well enough to work on it.
All right. She had a great Hawaii Through Our Eyes. It was all about going to Hawaii with disabilities. And boy, I hope you feel better, Ellie. I'm so glad to hear you're feeling a little bit better, and I'm glad to have you back with us as our listeners. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. So let me see what he did here to recover this here. Apple said my music was never deleted, and it was in the cloud the entire time. We know it was because, Ellie, your partner saw his or her music there. Before Apple Music, iTunes Match would show me all my songs matched, uploaded, and purchased. However, if you turn off iCloud Music Library and Apple Music in the settings, iTunes Match will only show you your purchased content now. This is what happened to him. There's no way to separate iTunes Match from iCloud Music Library. So, you need to make sure iCloud Music Library is turned on. He says, I'll admit, I'm still trying to get my head around how this works, and I am too. I'm not sure what the issue is. So, I don't know. It's not very user-friendly, is it? It's a mess. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, smartphones, smartwatches, home theater, digital photography, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Website, techguylabs.com. Let's get as many calls in this hour as we can. I've been jawboning the whole time, and it's time to get your calls. Jason, Newport Beach, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
I do apologize taking your time.
Wait a minute. No, that's what you're here for.
No. Because, it's a little bit embarrassing, and, I really don't know where to begin, and the lady was really nice to me. It's been, I don't know if I can give you an abstract. I have never had this experience all my life. I'm in Twilight Zone, but I've been better. November 6, 2014, I made the mistake of calling my service provider. And I'm not going to mention the name just in case there's a conflict of interest.
You can mention the name.
Huh?
Mention the name.
Okay, then under penalty of perjury, everything I tell you is 110% true.
It doesn't matter. A lot of people make up stuff, but I believe you. You're an honest fella. So can we need to shorten it because
I said
you having trouble with your internet service provider.
I called AT&T.
Okay.
In Southeast Missouri, one of those numbers. I said, very nice. I'd never bothered them. I said, and I've been with them 10 years, A+ rating.
Okay, but we need to cut through the story. What's going on?
Nothing. Without my permission, they've come to my residence. They've changed my DSL to Uverse. They've disconnected my Lifeline, which it is economical issues, Lifeline, which I'm approved for it. They've disconnected my telephone from the wall. To make a long story
Okay, so what they did is, by the way, wrong and illegal. You should report to the Public Utilities Commission. You're in California. They have strong protections. Your Lifeline service is your right.
Leo, excuse me. I know you tied for time. This is why I'm frozen calling you, because I am just at the end. I'm paralyzed. I can't do I just got a letter. This is what AT&T. I've called FCC. I've written a letter to Mr. Reader. I've called...
No, go to the California Public Utilities Commission.
I have. This is what AT&T has told them. AT&T has basically told them that Mr. Afshar was authorized to accept the Uverse. The same night, November 6th, November 11th, there were two people knocking on my door, checking my speed. They lied to me.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I've been running around the circle since November 6th.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, I'm not a consumer advocate. I can't go to bat for you, except to put you on the air and say this is rotten.
This is what they've told FCC. If I may, AT&T received a notice from Federal Communication Commission on behalf of Jason Afshar regarding internet concern. AT&T record confirmed Mr. Afshar was authorized on the account information provided. On 7 this.
They say you permitted this. You said go ahead. Obviously, they're lying. They don't have anybody on site except these third-party installers.
I ran the same night. When I found out after about a couple of hours, I ran the same time with a witness to one of the stores, and I said, call these technicians. This is not what I wanted. You guys came to basically check my speed.
Yeah.
Because it was taking me. Now I've got 3 bills. They're charging me. My bills were like $45. Now they have disconnected Lifeline without telling me.
No, it's not right now. I do have to move on, Jason, and you have my deepest sympathy. This is wrong. It's illegal. They're a giant monopoly. And going to the federal government is going to be tough because it's you and probably 500,000 other people who hate AT&T. If you're disabled, then you have even more reason to go to, I would go to the county, I would go to the State Public Utilities Commission. I can't help you, but you've made a very strong case here. And your Lifeline service is not a luxury. It is a necessity for your safety. And it's a violation of probably multiple laws, including the Disability Act. So I think you have a good case here. The question is finding an advocate who can help you. I'm unfortunately not that person. You might contact TURN, Towards Utility Rate Normalization. This is a nonprofit that fights public utilities. You've gone to the FCC. Maybe call the local TV station consumer advocate. This is the kind of thing that you need somebody to help you. You need an ombudsman who'll go to bat for you. You've done the right steps, obviously, and I think calling me was probably a pretty good idea too. AT&T, shame on you. Whether you have his authority or not on a piece of paper is immaterial. Jason needs Lifeline service. You cut this is unfortunately happening a lot. Verizon does this too. They want to cut the copper. They don't want a phone in your house. It costs them money. They don't want to have to pay for those switches anymore. They want to go all digital. They want to slam you, in effect, push you, kicking and screaming sometimes, into digital service like Uverse or Verizon's Fios. And we've heard stories time and time again of and these are, by the way, third parties in most cases. The installers come in. They cut the copper. They don't ask you, or if they do, they don't ask you in a way that you can give informed consent. And that's wrong. And you deserve copper service. You need Lifeline service. You have a legal right to it. Now, Dr. Mom's telling me by statute that come 2020, 5 years from now, this is the law will change. I think we need to lobby this. We understand we need to move to the modern system, but there is a need for copper right now. You deserve to have it, and they do not have the right to cut it. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go to AJ, who's in West Palm Beach, Florida. Hi, AJ.
Hi, how are you, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for taking my call. We actually spoke before. You actually took my phone call about Bitcoin. I told you were my idol. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, I hear that so often. I don't know. Yes, I do. No, I remember. Thank you.
No problem. I just wanted to get your intake on Xbox One and the streaming onto Windows 10. I wanted to get your...
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. You know, you remind me because that's one of the features. And my friend Paul Thurrott has done it. You can have an Xbox One game streamed to your PC running Windows 10. He says, what was he playing? I think Call of Duty. That's his game. I asked him about latency. He says, well, there's a little bit, you know, because there's some delay. It's going over Wi-Fi. He said, but it's pretty good. It's very playable. So that's an exciting idea. If you have a game that heretofore has not been available on your PC and you want to play it, you can stream it from your Xbox on the same network in your house to your Windows 10 PC. I think it's not going to be as snappy. I think there might be a little delay. That's what that latency is. But Paul was happy. He was playing his game. You'd have to have a good fast internet. He probably was hardwired, I would guess. But nice feature. Nice feature. I am an Xbox One fan. I really love my Xbox One. The one thing it doesn't do, and I'm sure it will soon, because this is a feature that was taken out of Windows 10, is the DVR capability. There's no more Windows Media Center. That's gone. Clearly, Microsoft wants you to use an Xbox One instead, but they haven't in the U.S. anyway. They've done it in Europe, but they haven't yet in the U.S. given us a way to record shows. You need to have a cable card capability. You need to have probably some additional hardware. They have said they're going to do it. I look forward to that as well. I would like to make my Xbox One my media center. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. I think you're right. Gaming platforms are going the way of the dodo, but that's one of the reasons Microsoft's working hard to get Xbox One to be more than just a gaming device. Yeah, let's put that Ars Technica article into the record because it's exactly what poor Jason was complaining about. It's from last year, but it just shows you, even though this has been happening for a long time, it's still happening. It's because these companies want to kill the copper network. It's costing them money to maintain. But federal laws require them to do so. Federal regulations require them to do so. Yeah, Leo Laporte, the tech guy, dancing my way into your geeky little heart. 8888 Ask Leo. Dr. Mom in the chat room gave me a great article. This is from Ars Technica. And what's amazing is it's from May of last year, and the problem persists despite, I mean, this is more than a year ago. Verizon, AT&T leaving landline phone networks to rot, complaint says. This complaint comes from Public Knowledge, the Utility Reform Network, and 10 other consumer advocacy groups. They wrote in a letter to the FCC, complaints often state that customers are being involuntarily moved to fiber or digital service, even if those new technologies fail to serve all of the user's needs or will be more expensive. Denying basic phone service to people who have relied on the network for decades violates the network compact that has successfully guided our communications policy for 100 years and is still the law of the land. Now, it may change. I'm sure it will because times change, and the FCC understands that these companies are for-profit enterprises, and they want to go all digital. They don't want to maintain these old copper networks. If it makes you feel any better, Jason, the Attorney General's office in the state of Illinois says they're receiving many complaints from customers who are being moved off of telephone service when the quality of service deteriorates. Instead of repairing the lines, the phone company says, we're just going to cut the lines. These customers say traditional telephone service no longer available to them. That's exactly what happened to you, Jason. For example, according to one complaint, a customer was moved off her basic phone service to AT&T's Uverse voice service when she requested repair for static on her line. She wanted it fixed. Instead, AT&T charged her a $99 connection fee and is of course charging her substantially higher monthly bills because now she's on Uverse. She says, I just wanted my cheap phone line. As soon as you complain, they say, oh yeah, we can fix that. Go to digital. You don't need that cheap lifeline service anymore. So, we just need action. We need states attorneys general to act. Jason, you should write to the California State Attorney General's office. We need the PUCs, Public Utilities Commissions. These companies are still public utilities. They're still regulated. And, this is the deal they made. They have a monopoly. That was the deal they made for their monopoly, is that they would provide lifeline service. Eventually, we're going to have to move to IP. I understand that. And these companies are jumping the gun a little bit, or a lot of it, and acting illegally. They need to be called, to be responsible on this. Let's say, did we start with? Yeah, we did. Let's go to Devin in Irvine, California. He's next. Hi, Devin.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Hey, I'm a small business owner, and I'm actually looking for something online, something outside of the school where I can learn to do app coding. I want to build an app, like a scheduling app, a payment app type of thing for my clients. And eventually I want to actually kind of transfer that knowledge over into making a game that I'm currently working on. But I'm not looking at something quick. I know it's going to take several years.
Yeah, but what a skill. If you can learn app development, mobile app development, you've got a skill that is very in high demand right now. Now, I don't know what it'll be in 10 years, but right now, that is what every kid going to computer science classes wants to do. And you're right but the good news is, because it's in such high demand, there are lots of ways to learn this, both for free and paid. I would start with iTunes U, which is free. They have many university courses. I presume it's iOS you want to develop for, or is it Android?
I actually want to do both platforms. I would probably want to start with Android just because I have an Android, so it'd be easier for me to test it without using an emulator.
Be better to pick one. They're very different. I mean, in a way, once you learn one, the concepts you're learning, the high-level concepts you're learning about how mobile operating systems work will translate. But iOS development is very different from Android development. Android development, you're doing it in Java for the most part. There are tools that will let you develop once for both platforms. But and so depending on how specific you want to be, it might be better to learn those tools. I guess I would start with just learning Android and then move from there. Google has great resources on learning how to write for Android. Start at the Google developers site, actually Android.com, and you can learn a lot about developing for Android. Google makes a free development system available, just as Apple does. You don't have to, in Google's case, you don't have to pay a license to become a developer. Anybody can do it. So highly recommend those. Then there's lots of online MOOCs, massively online courseware, things like Udacity, Coursera. Our sponsor, lynda.com, of course, has great Android and iOS development courses that you can take, but those are paid, as are some of these online MOOCs. MOOCs is such a terrible name, but that's what we call them. Coursera and a Udacity are two to look at. Google's created a new nano degree program in iOS development or Android development, which I think is a great thing. They offer those at udacity.com. And now this isn't necessarily what you need, since it sounds like you want to do it for yourself, but the nano degree makes it easier to get a job because you have a credential now. And the nano degree, while not free, is quick. It's not as long as getting a computer science degree. You could do it in a year. Android developer is one of the nano degree programs. They do have iOS developer as well. It isn't free. Like I said, $200 a month, but that's a lot cheaper than going to a technical college or a university to get this. And if you apply yourself to it, you can get it as little as 6 months. So that's Udacity.com, the Android developer nano degree. iTunes is, again, a great place. iTunes U. You can download courseware from Stanford, MIT. A lot of universities offer courseware for free. Stanford has a very famous iOS course they update every year and have, among others, the professors, Stanford professors are also Apple programmers. So you're really getting industry information from the horse's mouth. This is an easy time if you're a hard worker and smart and you're self-directed. This is an easy time to learn this. I think within 6 months you could become proficient. I should also mention my good friends at Big Nerd Ranch. They have a course that can get you started very quickly. They teach these courses in California and in Atlanta, Georgia. BigNerdRanch.com. These are not free either, but for somebody who wants to learn fast, they're very directed. It's really set up that you go. It's almost like boot camp for app development. And in fact, they call it a boot camp. In a couple of weeks, you can become very adept. So that's Big Nerd Ranch. Lots of ways to learn, all of them good. If you're self-directed, you could do it for free. Requires a little more initiative on your part. You go somewhere like Big Nerd Ranch, and they've got other people learning with you and great instructors. And 2 weeks out the door, you're going to be pretty good at it. So it just depends on how much you want. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More to come right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, performing tech support over the radio since 1992. Yeah, hard to believe. When I started doing this show, it was Windows 3.0. And I think it was MS-DOS 5 was the current operating system. We've come a long way, baby. Jay in Providence, North Carolina, you're next. Hi, Jay.
Hey, Leo, my Mac Mini keeps putting its display to sleep when I don't want it to go to sleep.
Dang you.
Yes, I've looked at Energy Saver, and of course I set that to never. Both computer and display are set to never. I've looked all over Google, and I'm especially concerned because of the suspend resume vulnerability. You probably remember from a few weeks ago.
You know what your system needs? Caffeine. Actually, literally, there's a program called Caffeine. It puts a little coffee cup on your menu bar, and when you don't want it to sleep for any reason, you click the coffee cup, and it keeps the system active. Keeps the screen on, keeps the hard drive powered up. It disallows sleep. It's free. Caffeine.
Oh, okay. I'll certainly give that a try because I'm
the modern systems are designed to sleep partly because of the EPA, partly to save energy. But I think if you've updated your OS 10, you're probably not going to be vulnerable to that flaw. But nevertheless, if you really want to keep your system awake, caffeine, I use it. I keep it on my system for when I'm doing presentations, things like that. The last thing you want while you're giving a talk is for the computer to go dark. I've had that happen. It's bad. It's a bad thing. So I use caffeine. Bad Pun in our chat room says you can also use hot corners. There's you can set up a hot corner in the system preference panes to have a never sleep corner, like in lower right corner. You move your mouse down there and it won't go to sleep. But you have to remember to do that. Caffeine you could just leave on all the time and your system will never go to sleep. Max, West Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Max.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
Really good. Quick question on this. My wife's MacBook, 6 years old, and the problem is that the Wi-Fi only in the house, and we have I have an iMac, I have a MacBook of my own, the phones, the iPad, everything works through the Airport Extreme, great, except her 6-year-old MacBook. And when I take it into the Genius Bar, of course, everything is, all the websites are available. But here at the house, we can only get like 2 websites, like Amazon and some other sales site.
And what do you get when you go to those other sites? It just spins?
The blue bar in the top just goes halfway and nothing happens.
Max,
and the geniuses, of course, don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Well, we could replace your motherboard. You know?
No, that's not it, obviously. You could rebuild the system, reinstall OS 10 and start over. What's the version of OS 10 running on there?
I am not sure at the moment, but I could just have them reinstall the latest version.
You could do it.
Or I could do it, yeah.
You could do it. Go to the store and download the latest version. It'll download, because it's smart enough not to download something you can't run on it.
But, I mean, that's odd, isn't it?
It is odd. And is it Safari that's doing that?
Yeah, exactly. That's
the odd thing is, I mean, I could see that happening, but the odd thing is you go somewhere else, some other network, and it works fine.
Yeah, in the Apple Store.
Sounds like there's something going on with your network, dare I say it. Maybe your router is doing something. That seems odd. First thing I would do is probably reset the Mac, just update the operating system to the latest version. There is a possible problem with something that Apple has acknowledged called Discovery D. So look, it's Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Older versions of Discovery D were just horribly buggy. In fact, Apple has patched and patched again, even on Yosemite, and finally has decided to give it up. Discovery D is a demon that discovers Wi-Fi networks. And an old version of Discovery D, such as might be still on that 6-year-old laptop, will literally pollute your network. It will poison your network and cause problems. I've had that kind of problem, and what I've had to do is power everything down, everything. Apple TVs are particularly prone to this, so I unplugged the Apple TVs and left them unplugged, and then powered up everything. I'm talking about your cable modem or DSL modem, your airport router, whatever router you're using, all the computers on the system. Turn everything off. I had Sonos speakers. I disconnected them too, so that there was nothing on the Wi-Fi network. Then reconnect, starting at the internet connection, your cable modem,
right,
then your router, and all the way up. Wait a few minutes, then reconnect. See if that fixes it. If it does, it means that what happens is Discovery D, if it's on any system on the network, will pollute the network, will poison it, and it will continue to have problems until you do this. You reboot and clear out all the caches.
But then wouldn't other computers on my system have that problem?
Not necessarily, because they're more up to date.
Ah.
This is really reaching, by the way. But it is the kind of voodoo. I've had this work. I have an older Mac laptop that has a lot of difficulty getting online, where everything else is working fine.
How would you explain it working in the Apple Store?
Well, because that network is not poisoned.
Well, it's not polluted. Oh, got it.
Now, this is a stretch, but I've seen so many weird things happen with Discovery D. Apple has finally decided we're abandoning it. They're going to use a new system for what it does. It's a demon that looks for Wi-Fi networks and joins them. That's the other thing to look at on this laptop. Make sure it's on the right Wi-Fi network.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes laptops, especially older ones, might say, oh, they're promiscuous. I like the neighbor's Wi-Fi better. And they So make sure, if you're in the country and you only have one router, you're probably all right. But look in your airport. If you see a bunch of different routers, you want to make sure that you forget everything except your router. And if you do have this problem, look at the Wi-Fi and make sure you're on the right router.
Well, I'll try the unplugging first. Then if that doesn't work, I'll have them, or I'll reinstall the...
You can reinstall or even update the operating system to the latest version that's compatible with that laptop.
I won't I won't lose any information on that.
No, Apple does this quite nicely. They will move your old operating system into a folder called old system folder, and then they'll put the new operating system in, and they won't touch your data at all.
Great.
Let me think what else might be, just for the testing purposes. Do look at your router. You might, if you still have problems, reset your router, to factory settings. There's a little button on the back that'll let you reset it. You'll have to go about and convert it. And then John, my studio manager, is reminding me a good way to test this is to hardwire that old laptop into the router and see if the problem goes away. If it does, by the way, that really does sound like then it's Discovery D and the Wi-Fi.
And if it doesn't?
Okay, you need a dead chicken
Right.
And at midnight, what I want you to do is to 3 times. No, I don't know what to do. Just
That's a good one.
keep trying stuff.
Yeah.
This is network problems are notoriously difficult to track down.
Discovery.
Yeah, but Discovery D, if you Google Discovery D, you will see a lot of angry verbiage around it. A lot of Mac users are very unhappy, and Apple finally, as they've tried for years to fix it, they're finally abandoning it. Could well be the issue, but it could be your router is polluted. There's all sorts of things. You know, you could actually have a hosts file on. I don't think this is it because it does work when you get to the Mac store, doesn't it? I think it's your network. Your network's polluted or haunted. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Stay right here. Memory bloat. Any buffer bloat would cause other kinds of issues. DNS issues it could be. Not a bad idea to reboot everything. See if it goes away. And then if it comes back, then that's kind of an indicator that something's poisoning. But if you search for Discovery D, you'll see what I'm talking about here. Including some bad words. This is the article. Cover your eyes, children. This is the article that yo, hi-yo. This is from Craig Hockenberry, who's great about all this stuff. He got so angry. He says, usually I write a family-friendly blog so my mom can read it. He says, usually keep things fairly clean on this site. I have a simple metric. Would I be embarrassed if my mom read this post? As you've probably guessed from the title, this post is going to be different. So, Mom, it's time to stop reading. I'm pissed off, and you know how I get when that happens. And there's a lot of profanity in here, but it's actually worth reading if you can get through the profanity because he's describing kind of what you just described, which is weird network issues. Things like the network interface disabled when you wake from sleep. It's just a mess. Man, it's some bonjour problem, some discovery problem. And Apple's literally patched it many, many times with no success. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Last segment of the show for the weekend. Then we can all go home to our Windows 10 computers. Not Moby. Oh, well, never mind. 8888 Ask Leo. Peggy is in Van Nuys. I'm pretty sure it's Peggy. Hi, Peggy.
Hello there. I have a problem with the Yahoo.
With the Yahoo? Hey, knock it off, Yahoo. Peggy's mad at you. What's going on?
Carbonite won't back up the files. You know, when you make files on the left side, Carbonite won't back up Yahoo. And they said to find out where Yahoo signed files, those files in the Windows Explorer, and I wasn't able to. Do you have any idea where I can look?
Yeah, because the way when you install Carbonite, which a sponsor, ding, 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 got to give that disclaimer. When you install it, it installs with this default set of files to back up. And you can tell it to back up something else, but it has to be told that. It's only going to back up the default set unless you say otherwise. So you're saying Yahoo. Now, do you mean your Yahoo Mail?
Yes, yes.
Yes. And do you mean attachments in your Yahoo Mail or the mail itself?
Well, I make files and put things in the files.
Ah, that's interesting. What's in these files that you make?
Designs and...
like knitting or weaving or...
machine embroidery.
Machine embroidery. Oh, how fun is that? And you, so you're putting them in folders.
Yes.
And I don't know if Yahoo gets involved in this at all. Are you using Yahoo to mail them to other people?
I'm receiving them.
You get okay. Okay.
We're using Yahoo because the other mail people don't like to receive as big of files as they are.
So somebody's sending you embroidery designs, machine embroidery designs, and then you're in your Yahoo Mail. Now, I have some more questions for you. Do you use Internet Explorer, your browser, to get your Yahoo Mail?
I'm trying to use Google to, I think it's Chrome.
Okay. Good, that's fine. So you're using a browser, and you see your mail, and you say, oh, how exciting. Somebody sent me a new machine embroidery file.
Right.
And it's like a little paper clip there, and you click it, and you say save.
Yeah.
Yes. So you want to know.
But it won't save it, only to a list that they choose.
Yes. So you want to know, where does it save so I can make sure Carbonite is backing that up?
Right.
Yes. So the default is a folder called Downloads, and you can see that in your Explorer window where you see it should say Downloads. You click that and see, are there a bunch of embroidery files there or not?
No.
So you may have changed where it saves those. Chrome, the Google browser Chrome, and Internet Explorer for that matter, will, unless you tell them otherwise, put it in Downloads. But if you've told it otherwise, did somebody else use a computer? Did somebody set it up for you?
No, I'm afraid I'm guilty.
So you might go into your settings on your browser and see where downloaded files go. The browser just thinks you're downloading a file. That's all. It's not. It doesn't know from email or email attachments. It just thinks.
What I wanted to do, though, is I wanted to save the whole file and not do them file by file.
Yeah. Oh, you want all of them? Well, all of them are not saved. They're up on the Yahoo servers. They're not on your computer yet.
Okay.
You have to save them to your computer first. Now, I have to tell you, if they're on Yahoo's files, they're just as safe as Carbonite. I mean, that's not your computer. That's up in Yahoo. It'd be a good idea to download them so you have a local copy, but it's always available to you until you delete that email. It's always available to you on Yahoo.
Yes, I understand that. But Yahoo saves them then.
Yeah, they're safe. So when you get email in your Yahoo Mail, it saves the email and anything attached to it on its servers in beautiful Mountain View, California.
Okay.
They're enjoying a lovely California vacation. Well, you're in Van Nuys, so they could enjoy it in Van Nuys as well. But they're up there in Northern California. Now, when you click on them, and you can, by the way, your mouse has two buttons. If you click the right button and you click it on them, it'll give you a box that, among other things, says Save As, and you can say, I want to save this design to a folder called Embroidery Designs, or whatever you choose. And that would be on your computer. Then you could tell Carbonite back that one up. But it doesn't have to, and it cannot back up something in Mountain View. It can only back up stuff in Van Nuys.
Okay. I understand that.
Good.
And I have another question.
Okay.
We've been talking about Windows 10.
Yeah.
When you download the Windows 10, does it download to a file, or will it download to a file and not install itself right away?
Yep. It downloads to a special folder in your root directory called cwindows.bt. It's a weird folder, but it saves it there. And then and you can leave it there if you wish. It's pretty big, but if you have enough hard drive space, you can leave it there till you feel like installing it. And wait until you want to install it, and then you can install it later.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, it was great talking to you. Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. That's awesome. I hope that all made sense. And Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ann.
Hi. Thank you for taking the call. I'm so sorry to bother you.
Why are people apologizing? If I don't have calls, I got no show.
You know, I was listening to you before about the AT&T. They tried to change me while I was complaining about my phone in my neighbor's house. He says, we already changed it to what? No. I need a hard wire.
Same thing. Good for you.
Yes, and I had to have 3 trucks come out. They had to fix my telephone pole, my wire, 3 different trucks.
But I'm glad you know what? They were scared of you.
Well, because I've been with them since 1945. They better be.
They were scared of you. They said, Ann's going to kick our behinds if we don't do this right.
Because I don't know, I was telling your screener, all the hotels and hospitals must have hard wires in case the cell phones go down.
That's right.
Yeah.
I told my mom. My mom's I don't want to get the age right, 83 years old. And I said, Mom, because she's in Rhode Island, they have hurricanes, they have storms. I said, you have to have a landline phone that doesn't plug into the power, because the phone company provides it. You can get it cheap because it's Lifeline service.
Exactly.
Very important, especially for seniors.
I triangulate with my families in different states, and that's what we talk about.
You.
Now, the Solar Explorer from Seacrane, I respect Seacrane. What's your
Love it.
Seacrane?
So this is an emergency radio. The whole idea of the Solar Explorer is you get emergency information, AM, FM radio, plus weather, and it has a wind-up thing on it.
Does this also, they claim that it does phone charging?
Yeah, because it's got a little USB port. Now, I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of cranking. How's your wrists?
Well, the thing is, it's for truck drivers. All my family's in truck driving, and they always forget their charger.
Think of it as an emergency, not so much you'd want to use every day, because it does take quite a few turns of the crank to get enough juice. You can make one phone call with maybe 15 turns of the crank.
Does it work on solar power, like the old-time radios?
Yes. Now, in order for that to work, you got to leave, because this thing has a flashlight and it's got a little tiny on the back solar panel. That's not going to generate a lot of electricity. You got to leave it in the window for a long time.
See, I had one in 55 to 56, and the whole back was solar, and it didn't have batteries. And I stupidly, it must have been one of the first ones.
Radio's easy. It doesn't use a lot of power, AM radio, but phone does. So it just takes a little longer. Don't think of it as something you could leave in the window for a few hours and then charge your phone. But for an emergency, yes, I recommend them. They're good company. Hey, great to talk to you, Ann. I'm glad you stuck it to the phone company. I'm glad you were here. Thanks. And I'll see you next time. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great geek week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today and Tech News Tonight. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.